Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
I'm thrilled to introduce to you a revolutionary tool that will change the way you understand yourself and others. Our partners at the Y Institute have created the Y.OS Discovery Platform, a powerful tool that in just 10 minutes can help you uncover your core motivations, how you bring them to life, and what others can expect from you. This is more than just a self-awareness tool. It's a game changer for coaches and those who want to help their clients reach their full potential. If you're a coach or a sales leader, go to yinstitute.com and look for the Y certification. We'll put the link in the show notes. When you reach out to the Y Institute, let them know you heard about it on Selling from the Heart, and you'll be on your way to helping your people discover what drives them. Don't just take our word for it. Go to yinstitute.com and see the powerful impact the Y.OS discovery can have on your life.
Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
We got all kinds of things. Hey, I'm super excited to see you. You can't do the thumb on this side because we're on opposite screens. What's with that?
Hey, if you're not watching on YouTube yet, you got to go to Selling from the Heart on YouTube and like or subscribe. And you can see the video of all this fun. Speaking of fun, we've got Amy Franko in the house today. This is going to be a phenomenal discussion. And you're going to just want to grab a pen and notepad for this because I know it's going to be super practical. Plus, we're going to laugh a lot, I think. But
something tells me we're going to laugh quite a bit.
If our conversation before the show is any indication, this is going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, we've got the Selling from the Heart experience coming up. We've been talking about it on the podcast April 20th and the evening before on April 19th for dinner. This is going to be an event like none other, a gathering of heart-centered professionals. I'm going to do some inner work. We're going to get rejuvenated, re-inspired, re-fired up. Is that a word?
Hey, throw some more RE words out there, Darrell. You're on a roll.
Be remarkable. You're going to have a good time. Seriously, though, if you're in a rut, if you've hit the wall, you're, waking up in the morning, dreading going to work, you just kind of at that. We all get to these points in our sales career where we're kind of stuck. You want to come to the Selling from the Heart experience. We're going to take a deep dive together with this group of like-hearted sales professionals to reignite our passion for selling. And I can't wait. April 20th and the evening before, come in for dinner on April 19th. It's going to be phenomenal.
I'm just super excited to head to Raleigh, North Carolina, Darrell.
It's going to be good. We hope to see you there. sellingfromtheheartexperience.com for tickets. And Larry, we love hearing from people in our Selling from the Heart community throughout the week. It's so fun, the interactions that we get to be a part of. And we want to give a shout out today.
I want to give a special shout out to Dan Dominguez, our near and dear friend over at the Y Institute, who just waves the Selling from the Heart flag. And Dan went on to say this about my book. He says, the book is written from the perspective of someone who believes that success begins when we contribute to a greater cause. And I'll raise my hand on that one because that's definitely me. Somebody who believes in providing clear and understandable solutions, and someone who believes in bringing solutions that people can trust and count on to be accurate. It hits all three parts of his Y operating system. Dan, we love you and everybody over at the Y Institute. Thank you.
We do. That just is so spot on. And a huge shout out to Dan and our friends at Y Institute. What an incredibly powerful tool they've put together. Well, Larry, as I promised at the top of the show, we've got a great guest today. As a sales leader, Amy Franko built a successful and lucrative B2B sales career with global tech giants IBM and Lenovo. She took a pivot into entrepreneurship in 2007, launching Amy Franko Associates with a specific focus on sales consulting, sales training, and sales leadership excellence. Amy's built her organization from the bottom up, from her very first client to today. With the hundreds of Fortune 1000 clients she's served over the years, she's created significant growth and success. And she is the author of one of my favorite sales books, just pure dynamite, the modern seller. We get to hang out at events like Outbound. And let's just invite into the Selling from the Heart studio our good friend, Amy Franko. Amy, what's going on?
Hey,
Amy.
Friends. How are you? It's so good to be here. I was trying to come up with a word that started with re, and I just couldn't. So
Darrell's a master at this stuff. I mean, it's in threes and it's same letters. And
that's right. We got to re-envision sales, rethink sales. Yeah, there's so many good things. It's going to be fun. This is going to be a incredible conversation that's going to, I think, get you to rethink sales, because every time I hang out with Amy Franko, there's sparks of ideas that come that are fantastic. But as we get started, Amy, you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers, and that is, what does it mean to you, Amy, to sell from the heart?
I was listening to the intro or watching the intro on the way in here, and the two words I jotted down were sincerity and substance. And as I was thinking about that second word, substance, that's where my mind immediately went around. Selling from the heart is right now, with a lot of my work and work with my clients, is about being truly and genuinely consultative, helping our clients and customers make decisions, regardless of whether or not they're using our product or service. To be of service to them, we're helping them to make decisions. And that, to me, is the substance part of selling from the heart. So that's what it means for me right now.
No, this is so good, because I'm glad that we're talking about substance, because we don't talk about it enough on the podcast, Amy. And when, I often refer to it it's just about bringing the goods. And bringing the goods means you got to start learning. You got to become an educator. You have to understand what it means to have a business conversation with high levels of business acumen, because you're dealing with smart people. And sales professionals need to start unpacking how to have smart business conversations with their clients and their future clients. Otherwise, they're just going to look to somebody else.
Yeah, you start to, it comes across as too transactional otherwise, and that's where the substance starts to lack. The thing that I found interesting in my own sales journey, let's say over the last year, is I've had a really interesting diversity of client industries, professional services, manufacturing, hospitality, promotional products, you name it. I have been having conversations. And to your point, Larry, it's even if you don't know everything about a client's industry,
yep,
you still have to bring the goods from your own perspective and be able to very quickly, and with that acumen, be able to ask smart questions, offer insightful ideas, even when you don't have that depth about their industry per se.
No, it's so interesting, because the first word that just comes to mind is exposed. And I don't think a lot of people want to get exposed for not bringing the goods. So they just choose to nod their head. And I hate to go down this road, but I'm going to go down there anyway. Or they fake it. They fake bringing the business goods and the business substance to the forefront. All it does is leads us to getting exposed as what we really are. And I don't mean to cast a dark shadow or be disrespectful to anyone. It's just to get us to become aware that we all can become better in business conversations.
There's almost a confidence is a word that comes to mind for me, a confidence in also being able to respectfully disagree or offer a counterpoint to something that an executive, a high-level decision maker might be saying, where in your mind, you want to nod yes and agree because you think that's going to get you to the next step in the sales process or maybe earn the client's business. When it's often, it might be counterintuitive, but it's definitely more substantive to offer up a question to help them think differently, or to perhaps offer a completely different opinion from what they've just shared with you, because there's that fear of, like you said, being exposed for being disagreeable or just not going along with what they want because you have a fear of not winning the deal.
I'm having so many thoughts flashing through my head of different conversations we've had on the podcast here over the last year, talking with Matt Dixon about the reality of, in many industries, like 2/3 of deals are stuck in the pipeline. They're not able to get it through to decision. I think of our conversations with Anthony Iannarino, with Brent Adamson about sense making and about this role that we have in sales of helping our clients make sense. And where I'm going with this, Amy, is I think, we work on product knowledge. I hope you work on product knowledge. We work on sales skills. We work on business acumen. I hope you know something about the industry that you're selling into and their business. But there's this category right in the middle of all of that, which is, we can call it consultative selling, where we're helping a client. The skill set is helping a client make decision. And specifically in today's business world, where there's multiple people on these decision-making teams, decision makers and influencers, where there's this job of building consensus that I think is a skill that is underdeveloped in most teams. We go, well, if you know about the product, you know about the industry, you should be able to close the deal. But the real skill here is helping somebody think through and move through as a team to make a positive decision. And this is where I see consultative selling going, over the last couple of decades of being involved in it is really towards helping build a consensus to move so stuff just doesn't get stuck in the pipeline.
Yeah, there were two things that occurred to me as just listening to you share that. The first is the idea of consensus building. And consensus isn't necessarily 100% agreement. You have a room of 5, 8, 10 people that are involved in maybe a very complex opportunity. The odds of every single one of them agreeing on everything is really small. There are trade-offs that have to happen, or maybe some difficult conversations. And we as a sales professional or sales leader in that conversation, we can actually guide that and help them to have those conversations and make those trade-offs so they can get to a point where they could make a decision. Even if not all 10 people in that room 100% agree, they do agree to move forward with maybe some caveats or some changes. So that idea of having confidence and building consensus is I really like that line of thinking, and probably something that we don't focus on enough. The other thought I had, the two of you know Andrea Waltz and in her entire, her entire
on last week.
Oh my gosh, this is good timing.
Great timing.
So her philosophy of going for no, I have used that philosophy with some of my deals that have gotten stuck, where it's clear that for whatever the reason is, this thing is just not going anywhere. So going for that no in offering up, hey, maybe this isn't the right timing. Let's talk about what is. And sometimes that's what's needed to move someone, at least to make a decision, even if the decision is we're not going to do something. So that going for no and Andrea immediately popped into my mind when you were talking about that.
Now, here's what's interesting, and I still want to dig in on this whole conversation about sense making, but I want to take a different turn. I'm actually going to take a right turn on this one, because this is where I believe that some of this goes wrong. And I want us to think about this is call this first in meetings, right? And this could be in a complex situation or a not complex situation. We can all agree there's multiple decision makers and influencers in most business buying decisions. It's not one person calling the shots. I'm a big believer in this. There's not enough people sitting at that table early on. So we as a sales professional, we might get that first meeting with insert title of a decision maker or influencer. But before we move forward, why don't we put the brakes on it and bring more people to the business table early on, as opposed to uncovering who these people are and bringing them to the business table halfway through or as the deal is coming to close. I wanted to flip this around and get your thoughts on this, Amy, because I don't see enough salespeople. We talk about confidence, having enough confidence to say, hey, I sense that we're on the right path here, right? We're agreeing, but maybe a next step is let's collectively bring everybody together who's going to be involved in this decision to uncover their thoughts, their challenges. Where do they see this issue or initiative? If we do this earlier on, I believe that deals don't get stuck in the pipeline as often as they are. I'm just be curious, your thoughts.
Yeah, I have two divergent schools of thought on that. So I'm going to offer up them both because I've had some interesting experiences over the last, say, 90 days that have been the opposite of that. But I do want to dig into what you just shared first, which is when you have a lot of people that could ultimately be at the table or something could get derailed, if you will, take a change in course. I like the idea of asking early on, who else is going to be involved in this? Can we invite them into the conversation? Does it make sense to invite them into the conversation? And the earlier, to your point, the earlier that we do that, the better, because then we're not surprised when somebody gets inserted into the decision-making set later on. So I do use that strategy successfully. And I find for myself, the earlier that I do that, the better. The other side of that coin, though, is a couple of my just very recent opportunities closed very quickly because there was only one or two people involved in the process. And those one or two people were the CEO. They were the highest level decision maker in the organization. Some of that may have to do with organizational size and just the ability to make quick decisions. But I've had two opportunities that closed within 30 days that were significant because I was speaking with the CEO and working with those individuals, and they were decisive. They had what they needed, and they had the buy-in from who they needed buy-in from to make those decisions. So it's just a different application of being with that one decision maker that helped move things along.
I love it. Yeah, and this is such a fantastic discussion. And when we're going to take a pause here to hear from someone in the Selling from the Heart community, and when we come back, we're going to pick right back up on this. And I'm so excited today. We're getting videos in from all over the world of people just answering the question, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart? And if you want to submit one of those videos, by the way, we'd love to hear from you. Just text the word video to 21,000. That's video to 21,000, and you'll get instructions. We're going to hear from our friend all the way over in France. Lara is going to share with us what it means to her to sell from the heart after a brief word from our sponsors.
Larry and Darrell here, and we're excited to let you know about a new event that will reinvigorate your heart for sales.
The Selling from the Heart experience will be a gathering of like-hearted sales professionals coming to you on April 19th and 20th in Raleigh, North Carolina.
We invite you to join like-hearted sales professionals for an inspirational day that will refresh, refocus, and reignite your passion for selling.
I can't wait. You can learn more and get your tickets at www.sellingfromtheheartexperience.com. That's sellingfromtheheartexperience.com.
We hope to see you there.
Jackie Joy challenged me to record this video to talk about what selling from the heart means to me. My name is Lara, and I'm a sales professional based in France. So selling from the heart means to care for your customers, to put always their best interest in your mind before meeting with them or talking to them, to understand their needs, their challenges, and to make them trust that you will find the best solutions for their problems, to make it your duty to serve them with patience. As Larry said in his book, as sales professionals, you should not be empty suits in the eyes of your clients and prospects. Thank you, and have an authentic, nice day.
Lara, that was awesome.
I love it. The empty suits has made it all the way across the pond. I freaking love it.
I think that phrase sums up what we've been talking about so far so incredibly well. And that is, there are salespeople out there that are the proverbial empty suit that haven't done the work to bring the business acumen to the table, to develop the skills, to build consensus. That, to me, that empty suit rep is the one that's on the phone going, hey, have you made a decision yet? Well, stop asking if they've made a decision and help them make a decision.
When's the order coming
in? Right. Hey, I don't hear the fax machine ringing. Have you made a decision yet?
Oh, dude, now you just dated yourself. Machine? That's all great. Hey, Amy, he just dated himself.
That's right.
I love it, dude.
Hey, this baby face started his sales career with fax machines. So,
did you put together the proposal using an abacus?
maybe that was Larry. That was Larry. But this is, this is where we did use 4-part forms. Press hard. The 4th copy is yours. And I will admit, yes. I missed that. Those were the good old days. And you slid the thing. Now you email a document for digital signature. It's nowhere near as fun as the old days of putting that pen on top of the 4-part order form and saying, press hard, the 4th copy is yours. But this concept of that we're talking about here, which is being truly consultative, where do you think sales reps either are missing it or there's just a really good opportunity for development? For someone that's listening in going, yeah, you know what? I want to be more consultative in my selling. Where would you tell them to start?
So if I'm talking to an individual sales professional, where I would look to them, where I would encourage them to start is by considering the types of questions that they're asking in their sales conversations. So to Laura's comment in her video, just before you get into every conversation, having that mindset of how can I best help the customer? How can I best serve the customer? Great questions is an excellent place to start. And I often encourage my clients to create a question bank. You only need maybe 3 or 4 questions to go into any sales conversation. They have to be the right questions, but that type of individual prep. If I were having the same conversation with a sales leader, someone who is in decision-making capacity, I would encourage them to use data. You mentioned that Dave Curlin was on recently and with Objective Management Group. And I actually am a partner of Objective Management Group. And part of my process with my clients is leveraging that skill assessment data to help them really uncover their strengths and opportunities with specific competencies. So I would encourage a sales leader to consider data as part of their process.
I love this. And I know Darrell's a data geek, but nevertheless, I still want to go down this path of consultative just for a moment and just walk us through. I want to play both sides of this, but looking at this through Amy Franko's lens is how does a seller know they're consultative and how do they know if they're not consultative? What are some cues?
Ooh, that's a good question. So maybe cues from the customer, maybe cues from a leader. I would say the first part of that is the picking up on the cues, like that awareness that the cues are actually coming and just having that self-awareness to pay attention to it. So perhaps one strategy is if a sales professional is maybe they bring a trusted advisor with them to a conversation or their leader so that they can get a little bit of that objective input on how it is that they're performing. If I'm in the moment and I don't have somebody that can give me that afterwards, one other approach that you could take is to actually insert some space into the conversation and actually ask the customer, how is this conversation landing for you? Are we addressing the things that are important to you? What am I maybe not asking that you want to make sure that we have a conversation about? So I would look to put some space in because many times we go into conversations, and I've been guilty of this, we pack so much into the conversation or things that we want to cover that we don't leave enough space to have a little bit of improvisational conversation or make sure that we take the time to ask if this conversation is landing the way that's helpful for them.
That's so spot on. Great advice. And I think another angle on this too would be to ask yourself as a sales professional, can I clearly articulate the challenges, the outcomes that each per party in this decision-making team wants? Do I understand the business problem that we're aiming at? And to sales leaders, I would say, something doesn't get moved forward in the funnel unless that deal has a specific business outcome attached to it, and the salesperson can articulate that, because I don't think you're being consultative until you're able to actually say what that client is struggling with. It is going to motivate them to want to solve and say yes and get that thing resolved.
That's really interesting. And it reminded me of a conversation I've had with a client recently where what they were looking at is their customers are asking for shorter term return on investment. So it's not looking at something that we're going to accomplish in 2 or 3 years. It's what can we accomplish with this in the next 6 months or the next year. So even with I mentioned I'm doing a lot of strategy work with client sales strategy. They're looking at the next year or two and what they want to accomplish. To your point, Darrell, that's a different conversation of what's the outcome in this shorter time horizon that can help them to make a decision and move forward. Even if we're also looking at the longer horizon, something that's more visionary, if you will, it's balancing the two out.
Oh, and this is prior to us getting together, we were talking about vision. And then I started thinking about this is I believe, and Darrell and I often talk about this, Amy, that leaders cast vision. Mm-hmm. At the leadership level, leaders cast vision, but the same could be said for sales professionals. Sales professionals cast vision. So if you want to be consultative, imagine sitting down with your clients and really helping them cast vision. And it all starts possibly, you could kickstart the conversation by sharing your vision. And this is where I see myself 6 months or a year from now. Hey, I'm just curious, where do you see yourself in your business 6 months or a year from now? What has to happen for you to get there? Mm-hmm. Imagine just asking that, pressing pause, and then just taking a bunch of notes. Imagine what you'd unpack.
I love that that's a really open-ended question. And even if a sales professional isn't visionary by nature, if you will, it's not something that comes naturally to them. That's a great open-ended question for the question bank, because to your point, it puts a little space into the conversation and just allows the other person to pontificate for a little while. If you're a really great note taker and you're someone who can look for patterns, you'll start to see some patterns emerge with what that person's sharing that could then direct the conversation for perhaps something that's a little more short term. Tying to Darrell's point, something that you could actually help them in a little bit of a shorter term that gets them to a point where they can make a decision. But you're still looking at the long term with them.
No, but see, and I love this because I think that question unpacks both, right? It gets them thinking long-term, so you understand long-term, but then it's the next question that you all ask is what has to happen right now in order for you to hit that? And then you're going to unpack and you can kind of coax it out of them by saying, hey, I'm just curious, what are 2 things that need to happen right now in order for you to hit that 6 months and a year from now? And if you're really keen on that, they're going to give you the clues on how you might be able to help them with those 2 things right now, plus unpack how to help them down the road.
And the sincerity and substance part of selling from the heart is when you hear those 2 answers, they may or may not have anything to do with what it is you sell.
Oh, yeah.
If they do, great. If one of them does, great. But if they both don't, then it's thinking, how can I still help them? Maybe I need to connect them to someone in my network. Maybe there's something else I can do. That's the sincerity that's not pushing something, or substance too, that's not pushing something that may not be in their best interest.
So good.
Yeah. And that's incredible. And I think that mindset, the mindset that I was taught is if there's not an opportunity, get out, go.
Right?
And right. I'm just old school back in the day, but this mindset now is saying, okay, well, what could I do to be helpful in you resolving that? And this is the beautiful thing is we all have networks. We all have ideas and people, and to help someone make a decision, even if it's a decision not directly related to your company, is going to pay off dividends when it comes time to make a decision for something directly related to what you sell. I love it. That's like the mindset of the modern seller right there, Amy.
Nice segue there, Darrell.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
I'm a true fan of this book, Amy Franko's The Modern Seller. Sell more and increase your impact in the new sales economy. And this is the type of mindset of the modern seller. And we said it before when you've been on the podcast. I think that you have given the sales profession an incredible gift with this book. And I want to say to all of our listeners, if you don't have this, get it. You're going to really thank us for it, because this book is packed full of wisdom in terms of the topics we've talked about today and how to function in this selling environment. So thank you for that, Amy. And how else can people get more Amy Franko in their life?
Oh, well, first, thank you for being a fan, and you are my hype guys with the Modern Seller. So I genuinely appreciate you.
We are big fans.
And probably the two best ways to find me. You are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. Please let me know that you connected through the Selling from the Heart podcast. I always enjoy meeting new people out on LinkedIn. And then secondly, you are welcome to go out to amyfranko.com. I have a new worksheet out there. It's a sales planning template. So this conversation about consultative, being consultative, selling from the heart, part of that is planning and thinking through your process, your vision for the year, if you will. So that's a free resource out there for anyone who's interested.
Awesome.
Oh, this is great. It's always great seeing Amy Franko.
It's always incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us today. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, Larry, I told you this wouldn't disappoint. This was a phenomenal conversation. Challenging, too, to really think about the substance side of things. I know we think a lot about authentic relationship, but we've got to bring the meaningful value component of this to the table if we truly want to build trust.
And it's why we believe that authentic relationships combined with meaningful value is where you start to build that trust and credibility. But this is what I would encourage everyone, whether you're a sales leader or sales professional, double down, right? I don't gamble. I go to Vegas and enjoy the atmosphere, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Take all your red chips, double down on bringing meaningful business value, double down on your business substance, watch what starts happening to how fast you start connecting and relating to executive decision makers.
Well, and this is what I love about Selling from the Heart is sincerity and substance together build trust, and trust drives results. And this is such a critical time right now for us to be talking about this. Thank you to Amy for all the work that she's doing and what she's brought for us here today. I highly encourage you to grab a copy of The Modern Seller, get the sales strategy worksheet, because we need to be strategic right now in how we're thinking about all this. And this is what I love about what's going on at Selling from the Heart is this movement of authenticity, authentic relationships, and meaningful value. Let's bring them together to create that, all driving towards an inspirational experience. And if you want an inspirational experience, Larry,
come hang out with us. Come hang out with us in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Selling from the Heart experience, the evening of April 19th and the next day, April 20th.
It's going to be fantastic. Rejuvenate, reignite your passion for selling, work on your heart. It's going to be phenomenal. Make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. We've got an incredible roster of guests coming up. I can't wait for some of these conversations we're going to need to release to you. So stay tuned to Selling from the Heart. Thank you to everybody who's sharing this, leaving us reviews. We deeply appreciate you. Until next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, be a consultative seller, and most of all, sell from the heart.